change. Something happens in the environment, there's a change. As a leader, what do you do? So please, let me just share my screen. And then, David, can you enable me to do so, please?
Yes, you can go ahead. You are co-host.
In the environment, there's a change. As a leader, what do you do? So please, let me just share my screen. Right. Okay. I think we are on now. So we can get going. Right. David, can you confirm that the screen is fine and everything is clear? Leadership in times of transition?
Everything is showing leadership in times of transition. Yes.
That's right. So we can
Manchester, UK.
That's right. We can make a start now.
Right.
Fortunately, my audience will not be able to see me. I'm having some issues, but the slides are there and my voice is very clear. So let's get going. Leadership in times of transition, in times when status quo has moved and you need to do things differently because the environment has changed. So just to set the scene, times of transition, when we talk about transition, it's a change, as I said, whether personal, organizational, or societal. Something has happened in the environment, which means we've got to do things differently. Demand a distinct set of leadership skills. If everything is the same, then of course you can do everything the same and you'll be all right because nothing has changed. So you can carry on doing the same thing. But when the environment changes or elements of the environment or factors change, then you can't continue to do the same thing because you will not get the same results. And I make the point always that every system is established to give the result that is given. Every system perfectly designed to give the result that is given today. In order to get a different result or better result, the system itself must change. So if the environment changes, it means that whatever you do or whatever you did yesterday and got a result, if the environment changes today, you can't do the same thing and say get good result. You've got to do things differently because transitions actually unsettle routines. Transitions change the way we do things. They raise uncertainty. And a lot of the time, transitions require navigating both emotional and logistical shifts. That's very, very important. So I am going to look at skills that you need to apply when you are dealing with transitions. And each skill is a facet of what we call transformational leadership. Transformational leadership is where you actually changing something that already exists. You want to improve it, or you want to make it better. You want to change it because perhaps the environment has changed. So let's look at that, shall we? The skills required, basically, 7 skills. Could be more, but 7 main skills required during times of transition, during times of change. And the first one is clarity in vision and communication. You're leading people, you're leading a company, you're leading a group, and then there's a transition, there's a change. And you need to get people to work with you to navigate the change. So the first point is making it very clear to your subordinates, your followers, your workers, whatever group you're leading, making it very clear to them that the environment has changed and therefore we need to do things differently. And we need to set a new agenda, set a new vision. And this vision, you must make very clear to others. They must understand what you are trying to achieve. First, they must understand the reason why there's need to change anyway. And the need is because of the transition. Something has happened, change has happened. And therefore, you've got a new vision. And you want to make sure that everybody knows where you're going so that they can actually paddle with you. Unless people understand what you are trying to do, they will not be able to give of their best. They may even question, why is he bringing this new thing? Why is he changing the vision? Why is he bringing this new agenda? They must understand it. Then they say, yeah, there's need for it. We can understand. So we can actually paddle in the same direction with you. And how do you get vision and this new idea to people? By communication. Communication is a very, very powerful element in terms of leadership, because the only way you can actually get people to see your point, get people to buy into your ideas, is to communicate with them. That's the only way. Effectively imparted to them so they can see what you see. They can actually envisage what you envisage. They can say, yeah, PK, we can understand what you mean. We can see, the vision, the reason for it. You can count as it. We are all on board. That's what you want. It's called buying in. You get them to buy in. And communication, vision and communication is important because one, ambiguity reigns in transition. When things change, everything is a bit ambiguous. This man thinks it must be that, the other person thinks it must be the other way. And there's a lot of ambiguity. And people crave for direction. They crave for a leader who will actually see, the point and point them to the point. So it's very, very important, clarity in vision and communication. And the skill required is for the leader to be able to clearly articulate what is changing, why it matters, and what comes next. The leader should be able to amplify the complex without being too simplistic. They must see that things have changed, not so easy, but together we can navigate that. And you do that by setting the agenda very clear, they can see, and communicating it passionately to them so that they can actually buy into it and work with you to achieve it. So the very first point in terms of transition is for the leader to provide clarity in vision and communication. The second element is adaptability in creative problem solving. Things must be done differently. We must be able to adapt. We used to work in a certain way. Times have changed. We need to move and work in a different way. In other words, we should be adaptable. In a world of change, you can't do the same thing all the time. In my local language in Ghana, we say that when things change, you also change yourself. You cannot do the same thing when the environment has changed, which means you have to be adaptable. And even the style you're going to use, that's why we have leadership styles. One style will not fit every situation. You look at the environment, you look at the situation, say, what is it? What is the style that I need to use? In other words, as a leader, you need to be adaptable. For example, Manchester Business School, we want to increase our revenue, and a leader wants to encourage us to work hard so that we can actually increase the revenue. And the style he must use is transactional leadership. Transactional in the sense that it's a transaction. Guys, if you work very hard and we increase revenue, I'll give you some bonus. It's a transaction between the leader and the subordinates. But if it's about improving the way we do things, rather than improving revenue, the way we do things, then it may be just encouraging people to do things differently. Then transformational leadership will be appropriate. In other words, as a leader, you should be able to adapt to situations. You must have this ability to adapt to situations and get your people, also your followers, to be adaptable, to say, look, when the times change, we all need to change to suit the new environment. And this goes in line with creative problem solving, because the change is bringing a problem. There used to be no change, used to be stable as change. That's a problem in itself, because things must also change. And how you determine the strategy to use, in this new environment, it's a mind thing. You are going to use your mind to determine what is the best way to do this, what's the best way to face this problem, and so forth and so on. So you have to be creative. And creativity, I have a way of defining creativity. I define creativity as combining the familiar with the strange. In other words, thinking out of the box. Times have changed. What new things can I do? That's creativity, thinking out of the box, combining the familiar, what you know, with the strange, the new things. And as a leader, you always need to be able to do this creativity, to think out of the box and find better ways and new ways of doing things. And people in positions of authority who are not creative are poor leaders, and they have no business being in that sort of position anyway. Let me just give you an illustration. A friend of mine used to do a lot of work in India. I've been to India more than 50 times, and I used to do a lot of work for the British government as a consultant for the Indian subcontinent during my time in Manchester Business School for a period of about 10 years. And a friend of mine, an Indian scientist, geneticist, designed a new type of banana. And he went to the district just outside Delhi to look for a parcel of land to try this new type of banana he designed. And he went to the head of the district, so-called leader of the district, and said to him, I need a parcel of land to actually try this banana that I've developed. And so that we can see if it works well, we can actually produce that, supply India, even, export and so on. That would be good business for India. And the head, so-called head of this unit, said to Dr. Saxena, my friend, looked into the eyes and said, Dr. Saxena, bananas don't grow here. And he said, why? What do you mean? He says, bananas don't grow here. He said, what do you mean by bananas don't grow here? He said, I'm 58 years old. I was born in this area. This is my place. I've lived here all my 58 years. And in the 58 years, I've never seen anybody grow banana here. Therefore, bananas don't grow here. In other words, this guy lives according to what he knows, nothing else. Because he's never seen anybody grow banana in that district, it means bananas will not grow here. So you have people like that. And this man is a position of authority. He's in a leadership position. But you can imagine his mind. As a leader, you should be able to be adaptable because the environment will change and that skill will become necessary. The skill that you actually need is being willing to pivot strategies, test new approaches, and creatively respond to emerging challenges, and show strength in doing this rather than indecision. Oh, I've never seen this before. I've never seen banana grow here, so it means bananas can't grow here. Meanwhile, it is possible that bananas will grow there. So adaptability, creative problem solving. Second point. Third point is empathy and emotional intelligence. And this matters because transitions impact people deeply. When changes come, they affect people. People live in comfort zones, they affect them. And some get worried, some are not sure of the future and so forth and so on. So leadership here is trying to get people not to get worried, give them hope. Napoleon said, leaders are dealers in hope. Leaders deal in hope. They give hope to people. So transition are not just only the physical things, but it's also emotional. It's not just the processes, but the way people feel. And the skill you need as a leader is to be able to listen actively, attentively, recognize any emotional undercurrents that people are feeling, and support them, maybe through grief, support them, there's confusion, or support them even if they are excited. Because when people get excited, they can also do silly things, So you actually deal with the emotions and as a leader, make it clear to them that this is not the end of life and we can actually go through the transition that we have to get through. The leader must prove himself or herself to be emotionally stable, not panicking, because when you panic, then your followers will also panic. They are looking up to you. When they see confidence in your face, and the way you talk, they will also gradually improve their emotional standard. So you can make life even exciting for them, even within this problem of transition. The leader must be able to relate to them, to their problems, so that they can see the leader as being trustworthy. Yeah, this guy is leading us. And as long as he's leading us, we know there is some good future ahead. So empathy and emotional intelligence. Fourth one is decisiveness and wisdom. This is not the time you are going to panic and you are going to do trial and error as a leader. Let's try this, doesn't work, let's try that. Then everybody knows you don't know what you're about anyway. People want to see their leaders being decisive. They will think hard and come with a solution or a direction or a project or something, which they can look at and say, yeah, this makes sense. Let's get on with it. So you got to be a person who is decisive. You think carefully, you use all your skills to come to that vision and not waffle or wobble. They want to see that you are a safe pair of hands. That's the way we say today. Okay, you are a safe pair of hands. Then they can trust and follow. And this comes with wisdom. That's why you need to think very carefully. Use the skills you have, the knowledge you have, do the analysis and come to something which is credible and your supporters or your followers or your workers can buy in. So being decisive and having wisdom is important so that you don't take any rash actions. And the skill here required on your part as a leader is discernment. You should be able to look into things and discern and say, this is wrong, that is right, this is the right way to go, this is the right way, this is the bad way to avoid, and so forth and so on. So you should be able to have some sort of discernment. Strong transitional leaders usually know when to wait, when to act, and how to balance urgency with care. Sometimes you need to take decisions quickly, but you need to be very careful that in doing that, you don't make a mistake, because a mistake will be disastrous. So you balance urgency with care. You balance speed with care so that you can actually get it right. The decision is important, it's urgent, but at the same time, you want to make sure that you think very carefully about it. That's why you need to have wisdom, so that even in the fast pace of things, you can still make something that is doable and is good, and it will bring good results for your followers. You have to be decisive, but you have to have wisdom. Your head must be on as well. Fifth point, stakeholder awareness and inclusive leadership. Transitions often affect multiple layers of community organization. It affects the senior ones, who may not be too worried because they are very experienced. The junior ones may be more emotionally affected, and so forth and so on. So you have to look at your constituents. Who are your stakeholders? This transition of the organization, which people are affected more than others. A stakeholder is anybody who has an interest in the organization. Workers, customers, purchasers, even the external environment you operate in, they're all stakeholders. We are not talking of shareholders. We are talking of stakeholders, and there are two different words. Shareholders are those who own the organization, those who own the capital. Stakeholder is anybody who's got any interest. A worker is a stakeholder, a customer is a stakeholder. So if there's a transition, it's affecting all the stakeholders, and you need to be able to decipher which stakeholders are affected more and less, and so forth and so on, and include them in any formulation of vision or strategy. Because research indicates very clearly that when people take part in a decision, they make sure that it will not fail. When you tell people to do things, I'm the boss, you go do this, and they say, yes, sir. When it fails, they come back and say, you said we should do it, and it has failed. The blame is on you. But if you involve people, then they have ownership of that decision. So they make sure it will not fail, because if it fails, they've also failed. So transitions affect multiple layers, and the skill as a leader you need to use is inclusive leadership. Include the diverse perspectives and build coalitions to help avoid any blind spots and cultivate shared ownership of the change. So the decision is shared, therefore the action is shared, and the ownership of the change will also be shared. Very, very important. A lot of the time, poor leaders want to take the action because the decision, because they think, I'm the boss here. But all the sense is not in one person's head. Two heads are better than one, three even better. So sometimes you need to include people. And there may be people lower down the aisle, but who may be very clever. and who may have gone through that sort of experience before, maybe in a different organization, and then can bring their experience to help in times of transition in the current organization. So include people, diverse perspectives, let them bring the ideas, build coalition. No, that will usually avoid any blind spot that you yourself couldn't pick up. And it cultivates us as a shared ownership of the change. And when people have taken part in the decision, they will make sure it works. 6th point, resilience and consistent presence. This matters because leaders become emotional anchors during uncertainty. When there's uncertainty and people are tearing their heads apart, they are looking to the leader for some stability. And as a leader, they think you have it all, you know it all. You may not, but that's the way they see it. Like a pastor of a church, everybody thinks that the pastor has a solution to every problem. The pastor may only be 40 years old, but even 60-year-olds will be taking their problems to him because he's pastor, he's the leader. And that is where you don't want to disappoint people. So you have to be emotionally stable. When you panic, it affects everybody. But if you are seen to be stable, that helps others to be stable too, because your emotional anchor will spin off to them. And the skill you need is to remain steady under pressure, cool and collected, the jargon, cool and collected, maintaining morale, showing commitment. If you need to smile, smile, even in the difficulty, make eye contact with people when you're talking to them, listen to them, show empathy. In any environment where outcomes are unclear, because that offers stability to others. When you are stable and you can show it confidently, it affects others. It's endemic. It's affect others. And that is very, very important. Resilience and consistent. Then your presence. Rather than hide in the office, they don't see the boss. There's problem going on. There's some emotional dissonance going on, and yet we can't see the boss. Where is he hiding? No. You show your presence. You are with them. So they see you, and they actually get the confidence simply by your presence. Very, very important. When hard times come, you should be there with them. And that is a source of assurance and confidence. The 7th and the last point is reflection and learning. And this matters because transitions are rich learning grounds. Transitions give the leader opportunity to learn new things. Life is not the same. It's never the same. And like an ECG machine, electrocardiogram machine, a flight line means you are dead. Life is made up of up and downs. And a flight line on an ECG machine means that you are dead. And since you're not dead, you face up and downs. And all these give opportunity for the leader to learn, to be emotionally stable, to learn new things, so that in the future, something like that happens again, you already learned from the previous one. So it's very, very important. Learning, as I say all the time, is from the cradle to the grave. We never stop learning. I learn all the time. Every time I've sat in anybody's lectures, there are some things that I had picked up that I didn't know before. And if you are modest, you can learn something new every day. I used to teach the Emirates group in Dubai, the MBA. I used to teach the strategic management of the MBA. And one time I'd done the 3-day program in Dubai, and session went very well. And everybody came, they all managers in the Emirates. They wanted MBAs. Some of them had first degree, some of them were very experienced. They wanted MBAs. And everybody came to shake my hand. And then the ladies will come and they will bow to me. Those whose hand you couldn't shake, because Middle East, some of the Muslim women, you can't shake their hands. Those whose hand you could shake, as soon as they walk to you, they stretch their hand, you can take it, and you can even hug some of them. And one lady looked straight into my eyes and said, "Where did you learn all this? Where did you learn all this?" And I said, "I learned it over the years. I learned." If you are going to be a good leader, learning must be something you take very seriously. top class CEOs of the world. Some of them read 50 books in a year. You know, Black people usually don't like reading. It's not something we do a lot, but we should. Knowledge comes from books, from listening to videos and so on. Knowledge, plenty of it, for your own life, for your company, so on and so on. So you must be modest enough to be learning. You know, somebody said, guy in Legon, the PhD in some area, we are going to do something about leadership. Nobody can teach me anything. I've got a PhD. But you've got a PhD. If you've got a PhD in cesarean section, that doesn't mean you've got a PhD in management or leadership. You can always improve yourself. You know, I trained as an electrical engineer. Then I came into business economics and then into leadership. And I've studied philosophy and so on. You can actually improve yourself. And when you become a leader, all the bits and pieces you study and you learn go into your subconscious. And when situations arise, they all come up and make you the good leader that you are. So transitions are rich learning grounds. Change actually causes you to rethink the way you've been doing things. Because the world is a world of change. Things don't remain the same. And as a leader, you should have a change mindset that someday something will cause change to become necessary, and you should be able to still lead your company or your group to success. I chair the board of directors of a company, and I've done it the last 5 years, and we see change all the time, and I have to be able to navigate the changes with my CEO for the company to still thrive. And early this year, I was made chairman of the governing council of the University of Gold Coast in Ghana. And as a chairman of the governing council, my business is to lead the council to actually develop the university to the future. And things change. Governments come, you've got the MPP, just finished, NDC has come, they will bring new policies, which may be detrimental or may be good. Whatever the environment throws up, as a leader, you should be able to take your organization through it. And learning is a very, very important aspect of this. A wise leader actively reflects what's on the horizon, what's happening, and invites feedback and so forth and so on. In fact, as a leader, you're always looking into the future. And you are scanning the environment to see what is it that is changing and how do I change my organization to suit. And even in your own life, as a human being, as a person, as somebody, you want progress in your life. One of the most important things you need to have at the back of your mind is to be ready at all times to give up what you are for what you might become. You should be ready at all times, even for your own life, to succeed in life and to grow and to become better. You should be ready at all times to give up what you are for what you might become. Same for companies, same for nations. Should be able to scan around and say, what is it that we can do? In 1981, India took the decision to become a technology powerhouse. Country with so many people, 500, 600 million people unemployed. So look, what do we do to get jobs for these people? We don't have enough capital because in 1980, India was following a policy of self-reliance and restricted capital from coming from outside. Therefore, India was growing slowly. But they said, this IT, computer, software, and so on, which are in their infancy now, are going to be the great things of the next 20, 50, 30 years. Therefore, if we can actually have a policy of training people in this technology, new IT and computer and so on, these guys will be able to earn money and look after themselves, even when we don't have money to build factories for them. That policy over time has led India to be a technology powerhouse, an industrial juggernaut in only 30 years. So learning is very, very important for every leader. If you really want to be successful, really want to be relevant as the years change and not become obsolete, then learning is important, and transitions will give you the opportunity to learn. So just to close, I call it the finale. Human beings, we tend to live and love comfort zones. because we are creatures of habit. Once we develop a habit, that's why we want to stay. We get used to it. Any change we don't like, because we are fundamentally conservative. Human beings are fundamentally conservative, live in comfort zones. Therefore, transitions, changes, they jolt us out of our status quo. And changes can be good, or they can be neutral, or they can be disastrous. Changes can be disastrous. And if you don't manage them, then you'll be in trouble. So we are creatures of habit, fundamentally conservative, and we don't like change because we live in comfort zones. And yet, change is a natural thing on this planet. So we got to have a mindset that says change is going to come and we should be ready. Transitions will happen and we should be able to face them. And therefore, leaders, those who take upon themselves to lead people, lead groups, lead churches, lead companies, so on, must provide competent leadership in times of change, because people will look up to them to lead in the navigation of the organizations or their companies or whatever through the change. Right. I will stop here. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. David, thank you. And I hope that I've been able to step in and do something that all of you can enjoy and also learn from. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. As a matter of fact, this doesn't look like you were not fully prepared. I don't think those we have on the call tonight will say Prof has not been prepared for this section. And so we want to be grateful to you tonight for your time. As a matter of fact, from time we were discussing this. I think that was last week, as to nobody knows what will happen, in one of our Sundays, and so we need to have somebody on standby. Prof is always a father and a mentor. I don't know, but when this happened, I was going to say, Prof, I think now you are a prophet, because you said this not quite long, and then exactly what you were imagining was what actually happened. But all that I'm saying is that as partners of this platform and as members of this platform, we will all be ready at all season and time, because we don't know what happened at what time, and we don't know, you don't know when we will call on you impromptu to do something for us. But I want to be grateful to all our faculty members so far, that even some of them that before a week, you can call on them and they are ready to prepare their slides and they are ready to come on. So, Prof, we thank you very much. We glorify you. To those of us who are connecting, now, this is the David Ddouglas Leadership Forum. This is our weekly leadership series. We are here every Sunday between the hours of 7 p.m. GMT, 8 p.m. 8 p.m. UK, 2 p.m. CST, and then 3 p.m. EST. All that we do here is to share knowledge about leadership. Tonight, we're talking about transitioning as a leader, what you need to do. Prof has given us the nuggets, the take homes of what you need to do. And I want to believe we are 32 here on the call tonight. If not for anything, we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 leaders on this platform. And this is a learning point for us. Transitioning, change, does not only occur when you are moving from one environment to the other environment. Change occur even when you remain in the same environment, but you want to do something different. And that thing that you want to do different, the people that you are carrying along with you, what sort of training are you giving them? How are you equipping them? How are you preparing them? Those are the things that Prof has taken us through this evening. It is the question time, and because we already know, because of hackers, so we protect the platform. We do not open the platform for anybody to just go ahead to ask questions or unmute. So at this particular hour, if you have any question, any question that you want to ask, what you need to do is raise your hand and we are going to unmute you to go ahead with your question. So if you have question, do not hesitate. Just let us know. We will give you the opportunity to go ahead with your question. Now, Prof. Well, so very wonderful presentation, educative, right on point, and but I have this question for you. I think you talk about investment, which is the personal development and personal growth. And this is the responsibility of you, the leader, to ensure that the people that you are carrying along with you, you do some sort of investment in them and equipping them and preparing them to the new environment or the new product or the new situation that you are finding yourself in. Now, can you help us with the advantages and the disadvantages of this? Because in as much as we will want to develop our followers as leaders, there are disadvantages to all these things that you may be doing. So as a leader, what is your caution to the leader that he need to be careful with when he is doing all this? Thank you very much.
Well, if you want people to deliver, you have hired people into the organization because you have work for them to do. That's why you pay them. Yeah, that's why you pay them. And the better they work, the better the output, the more the money the company will earn, and then the better it is for you, the owner, the shareholder. So you want people to be productive. You don't want to hire people, pay them, and they deliver very little. They deliver 10 bottles per day when they can do 20 bottles per day. And in order to get somebody, any human being, to give of their best, you have two factors. The first is skill. You give them the training. You develop them. The training to be able to do it. Why do you want somebody to type 50 words per minute? A typist who can do 50 words per minute, but you've actually hired somebody who was trained for 20 words per minute. If you want somebody to do 50 words per minute, you hire somebody who's been trained to do 50 words per minute. Or if you hire a 20 words per minute person, you train them to be able to do the 50. Because the 50 that the company wants. So developing your staff is crucial because you are only giving them the skills to be able to do the job for which you have hired them. That's the first point. Sometimes a lot of people think that training people, you pick this lady who used to type 20 per minute and now you have trained her to do 50. So that's the end of it. Training somebody or giving somebody skills is the necessary condition. It is not sufficient. It is only the necessary condition. It is not the sufficient condition. The sufficient condition to get any human being, David, you, me, anybody, to be interested in carrying on some agenda, some work or whatever, it's called motivation. It's called motivation.
Right.
Motivation simply forces internal or external to a person that engender interest and enthusiasm in that person to do things. In other words, even when you have skilled somebody, giving them a PhD in whatever, if they don't feel like doing it, you give them the PhD, then they come back, you put them on the job, and they don't feel like doing it. They will still have the PhD, but not deliver. In other words, the skilling is not the only thing. It's not sufficient. You have to give the skill so that the lady can do the 50 words per minute. Also, motivate that lady to be happy to come and do, because she can come and sit there. When she sees you come and she types. When you go away, she sits there looking at the internet, even though you've trained her. See the point? So you need to develop people. The danger is that a lot of the time when you develop people, they get jobs elsewhere, they go away. You spend your money to train them, then they go away. That's why some people, they actually scratch, their hands when they have to develop people. But you've got to develop them and use them. but motivate them to stay. And if they have to go, some people will go. That's part of life. So it is incumbent upon the leader to skill the people with the open mind that you are skilling them so that they can actually deliver for the organization.
Very well, Prof. You touched on some critical point here, which I want us to look at. You talk about the leader training, the follower, and the follower can leave at any time. What will be your advice? What the leader need to do to ensure that in me making this investment in this follower, this is what I need to do to ensure that I get the best out of this follower before he or she can make his time out of my organization.
That is the motivation part. There's training, you take them out to train. You've got a good mind. You must train them. In fact, training is a motivator. When people know that you are developing them, they tend to stay because they know they have a future with you. You don't only care about the work they do, you also care about themselves as human beings. You develop them, you make them better human beings. That's a motivator. Most people, when they know that this company, you can actually grow in it and eventually become managing director, they don't leave. It's a motivator. And there are other motivating factors. So I define motivation as the energizer of human behavior and the mother of all actions. When people, you make them feel happy in the organization, you make them feel that they belong, you make them feel that if the company does well, they also do well, they will never leave. There are strategies for making people feel so good that even when you train them, they will not leave. There are ways we train people to leaders to do that.
I don't know if I may sound like coming back to the same thing, but I have witnessed and I have seen several occasions that organizations take their time, spend their money, and putting people into education and stuff like that. And by the time they are done, they put in their resignation letter and said, "I've gotten another job, and so I'm going into that job." Yes, the motivation is there. The motivation is the drive by which you put that person into education. The motivation is by which you keep increasing their salaries, having some incentives for them, but they are still not satisfied. So, like, what is the guideline that, what
David,
measures?
David,
Yes.
you can never know a person's mind. There's no
Mhm,
art.
mhm,
I think
mhm,
Shakespeare said it. There's no
mhm,
art to know the mind's construction in the face. You can't look at PK's face and say, as for PK, if I trade him, he will stay. But as
mhm,
for David, I trade him, he will go. There's no way. You will not know.
mhm,
You
mhm,
actually do it first and foremost because you want the person to deliver for the company, to be productive. That's what you need.
mhm,
And
mhm,
then you train them and you
mhm,
also provide an environment where they actually are happy so that somebody tried to get them and say, no, I'm very happy, I'm not going. But
mhm,
some will leave. There's no, look, research indicates that whatever you do, some will leave, some will go.
mhm,
What you want to
mhm,
do is to make sure
mhm,
that the environment is so good that
mhm.
relative to others, they will not go. But there's no way you can be sure that somebody will not go.
Thank you very much. Yes, no hand is up yet, but we
If
have
I
some.
may, David,
Yes, Alf. Okay, yes,
I'm
Alf, go ahead.
I'm on my phone, so I don't have my one of my icons to raise my hand. So my apologies for that.
Oh,
Uh,
okay, all right, okay then. Yes.
uh, Thank you, Prof. PK, for again your very exciting presentation. I
Thank you.
totally concur with you. There are several points that I wanted to raise, but I'll probably just keep it short.
Okay.
On the last point, on the last point, what you were talking about, and which David asked the question in terms of training people. I mean, today in today's world, as you said, learning new things and stuff like that. We're learning. I mean, you know that I went to do some stuff with MIT and all that kind of stuff with AI and how these things can help us. And there are now, shall we say, apps and programs that are internal to corporations that can predict based on information, personalized information on your staff as to whether they are likely likely to move or not, to leave the company or not, based on what their input and their motivation is. So I think there are tools out there. However, as the Bible says, that the heart of the man no one can determine.
That's right.
Uh, the heart of the man no one can determine. As Prof. PK suggested that Shakespeare said something similar. But the point is, I'll give you a personal example. When I was working at the European Space Agency, and we were flying astronauts to space and all this kind of stuff, and I was negotiating on behalf of the European Space Agency with NASA. And it got to a point where we are going to meetings, and I was in the States, um, and talking about certain things. Now, because I was contracting to ESA, I didn't have the authority to talk on behalf of 20 member states, 19, 20 member states. What I had the authority was to give the input to ESA, and for ESA's personnel staff to speak the words. So I went to the meeting with my boss in the States. So we're in Houston, and I said, in my personal opinion, blah 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 blah. And my boss took me outside, and she said, after, I mean, very nicely, she said, "Look, when you open your mouth to speak on your opinion, right, you are speaking on behalf of ESA. You are speaking on behalf of all member states of the European Union and the Space Agency. So say it with confidence and say what you mean, because we will back you up." Now, like Prof. PK was saying, right, because of that, right, next time when I open my mouth, I am speaking with the confidence of 20 member states, European, Germany, France, UK, blah, 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 blah. I am speaking on their behalf, right? Just like PK is, like Prof. PK is saying. I am speaking on their behalf. Now, because my leader, my boss, has told me, go ahead, speak with confidence, because she knew me, right? She knows my capabilities. She knows what I can do, what I'm capable of, and who exactly I am. And therefore, she is putting that responsibility upon my shoulders. I ended up staying at ESA for 10 years before I left, speaking to the Russians, telling Russians what to do, telling the Americans what to do, telling whoever in that area. And these are the kind of things that even you stay because your boss, your company has confidence in your ability and is training you in that direction. That moment in time, you realize that, for instance, in this particular case, you realize that, look, my boss trusts my ability, trusts my capability, trusts my skill set, and I can speak to the world on behalf of nations, right? Are you going to leave that company? I don't think so, because your boss, and even when you're trained, there are times when you're trained, you say, "Oh, I'm going to leave because blah 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 blah. They're not treating me right. My boss is not." So the onus is also on the leader to be able to encourage the people, to give them the vision. I mean, I think we've spoken on this some time before, in terms of what is the vision and how do you disseminate that vision, and how do you get buy-in from your staff to follow that vision. As I said earlier today to some friends of mine, look at the situation, right? We have trees, right? We have trees. God gave us trees and gave us brains, and now we have tables and chairs. God did not give us tables and chairs. Developing your company, developing what you have in your company, as Prof. PK was saying earlier, we are always on a continuous learning spree. Now, if your company is there because you have found something in the market space, in the domain space, that someone else needs that level of expertise, that level of service, that level of competence, right? And so you are filling that level of competence. You will not know all the answers, but you will learn some of them, and you will learn some of them very well. In the current age, you see that AI is out there. People don't know what AI is, but they tend to think they're using it because they're using ChatGPT, Copilot, Claude, etc., etc. But in real terms, they don't actually know what it is. It does something. You don't know whether it hallucinates, whether it's right or wrong, right? So people are continuously learning, and you have to have a company that's in that space, in a domain of which you know that you're the expert, and you are at the forefront of that technology, so that you can fulfill your client's wishes, because you're doing it for your client, and in so doing, inspiring your people to come up with innovative solutions to problems that they may exist. Right, and these are the things that I think would enhance Professor PK's explanation in terms of continuous learning. What we learned yesterday at school. I mean, I was in school in the 80s. We learned about protons, neutrons, and stuff like that. By the time I'm now in whatever 2025, we are talking about smaller subatomic particles of up quarks and down quarks, right? Which some of you still don't know, but that's beside the point. The point is there's a continuous learning and continuous understanding, and we cannot stop learning. Once we stop learning, we might as well sleep with the ancestors. So just my two pennies. I totally concur with Prof. PK. We have to continuously learn. We have to be continuously innovative, and we have to continuously support others in order that they too may learn and be validated by their leaders in order to improve on themselves. And the more that we validate our staff and our counterparts, the more that we will improve our companies and our service to the various people that we are supposed to be serving, whether that's commercially or in government. Thanks.
Thank you very much. So one of the key points, what we transforming to you or transferring to you tonight is about learning. You as it is not about the leader alone. The follower, you also need to learn, because Prof. PK was talking about inclusive leadership. Inclusive leadership means that you the follower also, you are part of the decision making. And so if you don't have knowledge, what are you going to share? When it is time for board meeting, or it is time for management meeting, everybody is seated and they need your knowledge. So the learning escalates. It escalates to all of us. As long as you are part of that decision making body, learning is part of what you need to do, and that is what Alf is talking about. Alf is speaking to us from Germany. Thank you very much. I have seen the hand of Emmanuel Kumoji. Emmanuel, you can still unmute yourself and go ahead with your question. That is, if you still want to ask that question. But whilst Emmanuel is making that decision, we have Dr. Marcia connecting from the USA. Dr. Marcia, we want to pick your point. You put something in the chat box. I have seen it. But we want to hear you speak on this particular subject, which Prof. PK has shared with us tonight. Kindly unmute yourself and go ahead.
Okay, hello. Can everyone hear me, please?
Okay, yes, Ima, we can hear you.
Thank you so much.
Your car is showing slow, so can you tell us where you're connecting from?
So I'm connecting from Accra, Ghana.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So I must say, Prof. PK's presentation today was amazing, and I think I did love the part where he mentioned that we need motivation to be able to transit. Actually, transition is just like a growth. We coming out from something into something, and sometimes it's a challenge. When we want to evolve, it's a challenge sometimes. We fear, we panic if I can do it or if I cannot. but with work process motivation, I think is key for us to be able to transit. I have taken this presentation personally, as in this is transforming me, so I'm transiting. But for leaders who are also using this in their skills to help their employers, I think this is a great field. And thank you so much, bro, for this insight. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
very much, Manuel.
yeah. Prof, you have something you want to say?
No, no thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Marcia, can you hear me? Okay, so transition, as we're talking about tonight, is not only limited to the leader, and it is limited to, it is there for everybody as a follower. Individuals, individuals, as we are, we transition at every stage of our life. And at one point you were 1 year old, 2 years, 3 years, and now they say all of a sudden you finish senior high school and then you finish university. They are all transition points in our life, and what you do within this space of time will affect what tomorrow has, for you, or what your future has for you. So it's at a point in all of us, our life, where we need to reflect, where we need to audit, do introspection into our life as to what is happening to me, the in new environment where I'm finding myself. How am I cooperating in this environment, or how prepared I am to be, or to embrace, this new environment. So transition it applies to all of us, and in all aspects, of our life. And so let us not think that this is only applying to leaders. It applies to all of us. Mind you, we talk here on this platform all the time that leadership is not only for one person. We are all leaders, depending on where you find yourself and what you are doing at what point in time. It makes you a leader. So you have to equip yourself, in another word, enhance yourself in a way that when you are transitioning from one space to the other, you have well equipped yourself that can enable you to be on top of issues in the new environment where you find yourself. Very sorry, Dr. Masha, you said you cannot hear me, but I believe you can hear me now. So
I
you
can
can.
hear you.
All right, thank you very much. So we're asking for your wisdom on the presentation for tonight.
I,
Uh,
I I think it was a great presentation, especially on this the moment. It shows the expertise and versatility of my good
right.
doctor. I just wanted to include the point that you make, and I wanted to just strengthen that point that transitions are inevitable for any leader, and they are in different types of ways. For example, you have role transitions where you move from a new position, for example, in a department. And then you might have a career transition, which requires you to change your career or move on. Those are very important things that have been raised. It can be that you make personal transitions, which include relocating to another job, or it can also be because you are making some adjustments, supporting family members, or because of illness, you might be forced to change where you're changing. Whatever those transitionals are, sometimes organizations also merge, they lay off, they do those things, there are some restructuring. Those are important transitions that leaders have to make. But there is one that I wanted to highlight that is very important, that was not supported so much in this presentation given the nature of it, but the digital transition that many people has to make, the mindset shift, the flexibility in relation to AI, in relation to getting the message out there, digital marketing, those adaptations that I think a lot of us are not paying attention to. But those are shifts that leaders have to make, and make very soon. And it requires them to develop certain gifts or skills, which includes adaptability, it includes an openness to learn new things, unlearning and relearning what they already know, and growing through those different changes, obstacles, and challenges, seeing it as a test and not so much a punishment or a suffering. That's where I'll end for now.
Thank you very much, Dr. Marcia. Yeah, transition happen at any given time. We all know the season and the times that we are in, transitioning from one thing to the other. Now we're talking about AI, which is taking over the world and taking over our internet space, technology, and all these things. There are times I think we have some people on this platform now. Some years back, when you talk about WhatsApp, when we speak about WhatsApp now, they don't know what it is. When you talk about Twitter, they don't know what it is. You talk about there are a lot of things. So things keep changing, but it is for you as an individual to equip yourself and to put yourself in a position where you have to learn, to catch up with the system and the times that we are in. Most especially in our 21st century, there are a lot of things that are happening, a lot of changes taking place in our technology space and other things like that. So it is imperative for you as an individual to ensure that you equip yourself. Otherwise, there is no way you can run with the system, or there is no way you can run with the moment or with the season and the time that we are in. Some years back, we may not connect here because here I am speaking from Ghana, Dr. Masha is speaking from the USA, Alf is talking from Germany, and Prof. PK is talking from the UK. But here we are in one place. And I believe that some years back, it wasn't like this, but things change. And then we have to move along with the system and with the time that we are in. So you as an individual, you don't say that, oh, I'm just a follower, so there is no need for me to learn, or there is no need for me to equip myself or to do this. It's just a matter of time. You will fade out. Nobody will get to know about you, and the systems will disconnect from you. So learning is always with us. We have to learn. It is important for us as an individual and as people to give ourselves to learning, to adopt, to grow ourselves. So you being with us tonight, I don't know where you're connecting from, but I know we have a good number of our students here with us, listening to us tonight. We still have, I keep saying this every day, every time, Prof. PK gave his testimony here most of the times about how he transitioned from being an engineer now to a trainer and somebody who developed training courses for organizations and institutions, and, and become a global trainer. This is somebody who's supposed to be an engineer, but now he has transitioned from being an engineer to where he is today. And we have a lot of people like that now. Public speaking is something that is taking over our space, and people are shifting into that. People are transitioning into it. People are equipping themselves as to how they can become a good public speaker, and so they can take over certain jobs and certain positions, because communication is very important. But you can never be a public speaker without being on top of the conversation, without being having knowledge about the systems and the situations and the times that we are in. So it is important for us to know where we are today. We're talking about generating revenues and things like that. Without you having knowledge about how to go about this, it will be very, very difficult for you. So as youth listening to us today, Prof is here with us. Prof is a very busy person, but every Sunday he makes time to be here with us. What is preventing you as a student? What is preventing you as a youth to join us on this platform, to learn, to have something that can help you grow yourself, understand the seasons and the times that we are in? We are encouraging all of you. Next week, we will be here the same time. I have mentioned the time several times. It is 7 p.m. GMT, 2 p.m. CST, 3 p.m. EST, and 8 p.m. UK time. We will be here, and our speaker next week will be Prof. PK. I'll be sharing the topic with all of us on all our platform. This live stream is live on YouTube. So if you want to follow, you want to listen to this broadcast again, you can follow us on YouTube at David Ddouglas Leadership Forum. The same way, you can go to our Facebook page, which is the David Ddouglas Leadership Forum, Our WhatsApp pages are the David Douglas Leadership Forum. Anytime you come across it, you can also follow us on our TikTok, which is also the David Douglas Leadership Forum. Like, share our pages. So we want to thank all of you for your time, and we want to thank all our resource people, our faculty members, Dr. Marcia, Professor PK, Alf, and the rest. If I'm not able to mention your name, it's not because it is not intentional. Please forgive me, but I know, yes, we have a good number of people here with us tonight. So till we meet again, I say keep yourself safe from any danger and from any trouble. So we're looking forward to see you again next week. Peace, shalom to you all. Enjoy the rest of your evening or afternoon or morning, depending on your geographical location. Till we meet again, we say thank you all for your time.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everybody. Thanks for coming. Thanks for
Bye-bye,
coming.
Prof.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. We connect
Pleasure.
again next week. Yes.
Okay. Right.
All right then. Bye-bye.
Good night, boss. Thank you. Bye.
Yes. Alf.
Yeah.
Bro. Charlie.
Yeah. Well,
We need to talk. But I'll call
okay.
you tomorrow. I'll call you tomorrow.
Okay.
All right
Okay.
then. Okay then. All right. Yes.